for the plot, but we all know it is probably not. Little chat with another slice of life. Biggles keeps talking about another villainess. And in troubleに越されているので、私たちはそれら忘れて分析します。It's the Biggles breakdown, another anime night, fighting all the shows and the plots. It's time for the Biggles breakdown. Breakdown.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Biggles Breakdown. If you're wondering why I have a giant heating pad on my arm, it's because I fucked my shoulder up reaching for a pack of gum. And I am here with my
I'm sorry, but for some reason I can't help but laugh. That is such an old man injury.
I know, right?
I shouldn't be laughing because I'm 25. I'm probably gonna get like some of these injuries in the next I don't know how many years myself. So I shouldn't be laughing, but it's incredibly funny to me.
It is incredibly funny that I hurt myself reaching for a pack of gum. But I am here supported by my two co-hosts, Crips and Juan. Little chat, say hello to the chat.
Hello.
Yes, and we have all new animes to talk about, and we're going to try to do it faster than normal because one of us has to leave early, and I'm injured, and I don't want to be sitting behind a computer for too long. So we'll just jump right into it. So what I think is so far the best news show of the season is Clevitas.
I thought we were gonna, for a second, I thought you were going to go right to Rory Rocks in those jeans.
We'll save that for later.
I wouldn't have blamed you for 1 second.
I haven't
Apparently,
in order.
I'll say
I
that
mean,
when we talk about that.
one episode in with how we're just you can't really judge a show one episode in fairly. Rory Rocks, for just completely subjective reasons, will be my top pick for one episode in.
All right. But no,
but this was a good one.
I think Clevitas, I think I would agree as far as like new anime, things that have just started airing that aren't like a season 2 or whatever. This is probably my favorite of that batch. Like the completely new, out of the box anime for summer. This one, I was genuinely blown away with how good it was. Art style, animation, storytelling, the characters overall. I am very hooked on this series, especially with like the whole thing they're doing with Clevitas himself. So
yeah, I would agree that it's really pretty quality for one episode, and I'm gonna refer back to my boy Crimson from last season where he pointed out the flaw with a lot of anime where they'll put a lot of investment in the animation in that first episode. And then you'll see it draw. I could see this show having a very how do I put this? Very obvious scaling back of animation quality by like the second or third episode, which may not be a deal breaker, but I want to give people the heads up that it's very common to see this kind of balls to the wall animation in the first episode to kind of suck you in. And I think the way this one ended with them being in the slaver's cart and everything by the end, you can see that there's a room for where they might be pulling back. And it might be based on the original manga story, so that could be fine. But I'm cautiously optimistic because the concept is a little fresh, right? Having to raise the infant, raising a hero from the dead to be your zombie thrall, being disappointed that she doesn't have milk available. Where's Hahari over here?
So I will push back a little bit on the animation thing. That is a thing that like I do generally consider, but I'm a little bit more optimistic on it. I don't see this as being something that was like super like precisely animated, something along the lines of say like Don to Don or Solo Leveling, where it's very flashy, like very high octane sort of stuff. I would say that this one was more just the animation to it was about the quality where I think like most shows should just naturally be.
So One thing I like about this is like the very beginning of it, right? You get attacked by the small beasts, and you see how like strong these heroes are, and they come up to Clevitas and they're like, "This guy's the strongest." Clevitas wipes him out in like half a second. He's like,
Mhm.
"I will defeat you. I swear." Boom, dead. And she's the only one who's able to like figure something out. She's the only one who's able to land a hit on him, right? And she dies like almost instantly too. And and then at the very end, he's in that little form that we see right here, and he just kind of gets smacked on the head, and his neck just goes "Whoop," and then comes back, and then he's just standing there, and she's like, "Oh, yep, they're all dead." And then
He
he
just falls over.
falls over, covered in blood, and then she gets knocked out, and he's like, "Oh, it's about time you woke up. It looks like we've been kidnapped." Like, so
Yeah, I'm a complete anime only on this one, and I'm assuming there's going to be something where when he takes the human form, it imparts like human vulnerability compared to his badass demon lord, one of the four mythical beasts form.
mhm.
But it's going to
That's
be
what I'm
interesting. I
thinking.
mean, I'm thinking the arc of this is going to be, that his contact with humanity will change him and he'll see the value, etc., etc. It's almost like a Q storyline from Next Generation that like being
Mhm.
around Picard enough, like totally,
I feel like it'll
brings
go
him
that
around
way
on
too.
humanity.
At the same time, though, there's also the danger that we'll see like some of the human conflicts and stuff. I
Like
feel
this
like
guy.
you could see a lot of the commentary about like human nature in this. I believe that like the overall experience of taking care of this child is probably going to have more of an effect on Clevitas, but it's probably going to end up being like this like human war that's going on that may push him to the edge of like, why would I bother sparing you if you're just going to kill
Do
yourselves?
you think that there's going to be, a lot of mangakas like to, pull from historic fantasy literature for their inspiration. I could see this almost being kind of take on Merlin and Arthur, with Clevitas kind of being the Merlin character raising the art. He's like, I might as well make you a king. So the only question is, I don't know if we're gonna have time jumps, because if it's gonna be something like that, you're gonna have to accelerate forward to where it's not just a baby anymore, right? It's an actual kid who's doing things and has agency. I don't know.
Well,
It looks like that from
I,
the promotional material that it's staying a toddler baby story for at least most of this season.
I was gonna say I would suspect that if they're competent, the baby will probably remain a child for like 99% of the series, and at the very end you'll probably just see like what came after all these events happened, like they're now an adult or whatever, and
Oh,
yeah,
sequel series.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't trust sequel series like that, but not after Boruto.
But basically, you can set it up as like all the good things that happen.
Mhm.
It looks like he's going to get his wet nurse because she's the one holding the baby, and she looks like she has milk.
Oh yeah, that would make sense. Either way, insofar as animation goes, I feel like this series will still survive with even if the animation is just sort of okay. Because what really has me drawn into it at this point is the story and the characters. I'm more interested in that than any sort of like action because even the animation and stuff we got in this first episode really wasn't all that like hype combat and stuff. It was just sort of Clevitas destroying buildings.
And people
Hmm.
within seconds. But yeah, I think this one's cool. So far, the story's pretty awesome. You got this guy right here at the bottom's like, yeah, we got to go take that spot now that he's probably dead. And then you have this guy and his group. They're like, yeah, just fucking kill everyone, like the fucking psychos. And then you have like the 5
I,
races.
I'm gonna make a prediction now. I think that dude with the creepy hair or whatever who always hides his eyes.
Mhm.
I feel like he's gonna turn out to be another one of the lords of the dark beasts.
Really? Okay.
Hmm. Well, if Clevites took interest, and Clevites is to the south, those people were to, I believe, the east. They
Mhm.
probably came into contact, and there may be something like that going on.
It also
Okay.
seemed like there might be some kind of additional storyline regarding the beast judging humanity, and
Mhm.
each one being tasked with kind of making their assessment.
That's one of this is one of the things though. Um, I have a particular like flag that goes off when they like suddenly like do like the pan to like a character's hidden eyes, and they have some sort of like really unique design to them. That's usually a tell that they're maybe not quite unimportant.
Mhm. Well, I
Now,
figured he's important because he's like one of the main leaders of the bad nation.
here, I'm gonna set off Crimson's annoyance level. The style reminds me a lot of Reincarnated as a Slime. Yeah, and
Well, I kind of feel that way too. It was like a cross between like reincarnated as a slime and a little bit of like old school fantasy anime, like Ghibli sort
yeah.
of stuff. That's the vibe I got from it.
I mean, if you look, the girl on the left looks a lot like the one demon lord girl from Reincarnated as a Slime.
Hmm.
The
Okay.
guy on the lower left looks almost straight up like a copy of the Dwarf King from Reincarnated as a Slime.
No, the designs are definitely familiar to that. I don't hate reincarnated as a slime. It doesn't bother me. I just think it's massively overhyped as an anime.
I still haven't watched it.
Do you like nation building and half a season worth of office meetings?
Why not? I like
Look,
that
if
kind of stuff.
Sharon's going to be coming in there wearing that purple business suit, I can deal with the meetings.
All right, so let's get to the next one. Let's get to the next one.
Yeah.
My dress up
Yeah.
darling.
Yep.
So this one is called I'm a 15-year-old teenage boy or something like that.
Well, yeah, because he's finally
Uh,
he's going out with and actually engaging in interactions with someone who's not married. You know, like,
so yeah, so he goes out and they go to like the karaoke bar for Halloween. So we're skipping right to the end because I want to say this. Shout out to Marin's friends, um, because they were like he was super worried that they were going to make fun of him when the guy basically dressed up as like a cat maid was like, how do you know how to do makeup? Like, and
and then it turns out he was a super fan of the dolls that his family
yeah,
made.
yeah. So they were all like super nice to him.
I
And
just
then
I love that whole conversation was going on, and in the
The girl
background
is
you have the
screaming
chick just
the death metal song.
screaming her lungs out and like some of the most tone deaf singing I've heard in anime.
Well, yeah, it's. I mean, that's why it was turning stuff into what sounded like death metal screaming. It was hilarious, and of course, she's wearing the eye patch because that's her costume. You know, doing the.
It was great. The funny thing is like every time I see her, she's always like sitting there observing, like she's going to be some important character in the future. I've never seen her do anything. Yeah, I've even read
this
the
one.
manga. Yeah,
Well, she
Noah.
does ask. She does ask, "Are you guys going out?"
Oh yeah,
And they're like,
Yeah,
that was a really great way to end. Just like she yells into the mic, "Are you guys going out?" No, this whole episode was great. I'm not normally like into the whole bunny girl thing, but for this show, you know what? I'll give it to you.
I
That was a
appreciate
good one.
that it's also this episode is dropping right when we get the new season of Bunny Girls. You know, Rascal
Senpai.
Doesn't Dream. You know, so it's and the actual
I need to start catching
intricacies,
up on that one.
the intricacies of the bunny girl outfit, like and how she was disappointed that she wouldn't have her chest pop out.
like the one
She's
character.
but in
Well,
the anime, that's how it happens.
here's the thing, like I don't think I need to say this, but like Maureen's a bit of a freak insofar as like some of that stuff goes. There's one, they'll probably get to it here soon. There's one scene where she gets really excited because she misinterprets what Gojo says, and she's like thinking like, oh, he's actually gonna like, you know, come after me, huh? Okay, well maybe I should wear my best underwear and everything.
And she's wearing the red ones, and she's like, "We got a problem," and he's like, eh. But
Yeah, I like the whole part where she's like very proud of coming up with the idea of doing the nude body like leg stockings so that it would look she's like, "Oh, look, it's I'm completely covered, but it doesn't look like that." And his mental is like he is a 15-year-old boy. To
yeah,
him, it
yeah,
was the same as not wearing any
yeah.
clothes.
The narrator, dude, the narrator's the MVP of this episode.
I
Um,
was saying as far as this goes that it felt like a fast like episode to like cover a bunch of stuff, but then I was thinking back on it, I'm like, as far as I remember, these chapters were all kind of like this when I read them.
mhm.
So it's a pretty good adaptation of what goes on. It just feels much faster in the anime because it covers more ground in the same amount of time.
I think one of the things when you see a good anime adaptation is they can take when a manga is hitting like a filler zone where they're doing like five or six kind of running in place chapters, or 380 rent a girlfriend chapters, same deal. And they can compress it, and that's when you're doing a good anime adaptation. You don't string it out like that because you don't need to. Like you would just annoy the fans and make it like Rent a Girlfriend if you're just needlessly stringing things out for no good reason. So they compressed it very well, and I think to what Crimson's saying, it flows it flows organically. It doesn't feel like they were compressing a lot. It also works with the fact that he's done a lot of cosplay for her now. This kind of stuff
Well,
is actually working. And then they did an organic thing where he ran into a problem, they got good solutions, and because we've established all this stuff, we can get right to him fixing it from getting the sage advice from the sales guy who initially thought he would be wearing the bunny girl.
Dude, it's so funny because he's like, "Is this for you?" And he said, "Yes." And he's like, "Those eyes are so pure and honest. I shouldn't judge that he wants to wear this." And he's like, "I
yeah.
thought you would." And then Mario just pops up, "Ah," like,
I think though that like these were treated as like minor, like these cosplays were treated as like minor arcs, which is kind of why like there isn't a whole lot centered around them. They were just kind of like one-off things that go on, like minor things that weren't like super important. The one they're working on in the photo there is going to be a much longer piece of work for Gojo and everything because there's a whole lot more of like the story of their characters put into this specific event that causes them to do the whole cosplay that they're working on there.
well, I assume they go to comic or whatever it's called, the big event, like the
The
Comic
December
Con.
one.
Yeah.
So they do it in December, like in July. There's the summer and winter one.
Uh,
So I think the buildup is going to be to the winter one. Basically, this show it mirrors like 2.5 dimension girl seduction.
mhm,
Where the major events for cosplayers are the same. It's summer and winter
mhm.
comic it.
So, one thing I wanted to say about this is the Crunchyroll dub has Marin randomly speaking like a girl from California, and it's fucking annoying. Um,
The dub or the sub?
the sub, there's
I was about to say I didn't think the dub was out yet.
yeah. Well, the sub has it to where she's talking like a fucking California girl a couple times, and it's kind of stupid.
Well, yeah,
Um,
that's just a problem with the fucking localizers.
yeah, fire them all right, let's go. Let's go.
Like when she says this one's going to be fire.
And
Like,
totes, man, totes.
I don't really so much mind
Yes.
that because the English version of it of the first season was kind of like that. But it gets really annoying when you start having stuff like I don't know, when you start getting like the Riz or stuff like that in there, and or like
The
the
brain
people
rot.
will like change entire sections of dialogue for a shitty joke.
Yes.
They need to watch out with
that's my
the
problem
they
with the localizations.
watch out with any mention of Riz. Otherwise, you're going to bring in Riz leveling and add Jin Woo's next mission. It'll be conquering Marin.
That's some
Conquer the.
that's some
That's
NTR stuff. Shut the
is
fuck
like
up.
is like NTR cosplay route available.
um, let's go to Don to Don. I've only seen the first episode. I did not go to the movie theater.
You weren't one
Uh,
of the cool kids.
no, because I don't really care for Don to Don.
Yeah, because you're retarded.
Yeah,
It
whatever.
is like the I cannot, as as a good example, like what Don to Don is doing with the animation is what Apothecary Diaries has been consistently doing with its writing. It just it's consistently good. It seems to keep escalating, right? Apothecary Diaries season 1 was good, season 2 was great, and it's because of the writing and the characters, right? But with Dan to Dan here, the animation just keeps leveling up. Like this, I can tell you, and I think Crimson also saw the first three. This mini arc, if it's an indication of what we're getting for the whole season, it's balls to the wall crazy. I mean, as good,
So
like it's
yeah,
so good.
have you read the manga at all for this one, little Chad?
No.
I've been staying anime only on it.
Okay, so let me give you my perspective as someone who is current on the manga in this series. I actually think they made this arc better than what it was in the manga. In the manga, I felt a little bit confused. I was having like a bit of a struggle following along with what was going on because some things aren't really clear as far as like how they did the evil eye stuff. In this one, though, they give you a little bit more of a clear cut story as to what his background is, where he came from, and why Gigi suddenly decides to sympathize with him.
Yeah, that
Um,
having only seen these 3 episode arc, I had no problem understanding exactly how the link up happened.
they made
And
it much better than what it was in the manga. So I have been really excited for this because we're leading into one of the most popular arcs in Don to Don. That would be Space Globalists. We're probably not going to get there in this season, but we'll see a lot of the build up to it. They've even shown off one of the new characters that's coming in the opening. So
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. So my thing with this is, I think it looks awesome, right? I even have a Momo picture from Dominic, who
just be
inkles the
careful because
logos.
Twitter people like to say that anyone who has ever shares anything about Dan to Dan is a gooner for Momo.
ooh, guess what? This is a fun story I found out Saturday. So we had a family sort of party here, and I was talking with my cousin who is like just getting into anime. So like she's watched Death Note, Attack on Titan, Jujutsu Kaisen, and of course she's a fucking Gojo simp.
So
But
she's
she
got
said
her initial tourist visa. There you go.
she said that Dandadan has become one of her favorite new anime.
That's good.
So the women like it too. Therefore, STFU.
I mean,
So-
I think the idea that they always go back to the one scene from the first episode.
Evil people doing evil things. Yeah.
Yeah, and now
Well,
they use
the
that
first
one, and now
episode of
they're
season
using the first episode of the season two.
Yeah.
But what they leave out is the part where further within the episode, Momo whoops their ass. Like once
Yeah.
she's in a spot where she's using her self defense training and her powers.
Yeah.
But
I can respect the decision. Like people who don't really care much for the show, fine. It's kind of weird. I get it, but I love the show because I have liked the characters consistently. I think it's brilliantly creative in the way it does a lot of it adapts a lot of like folklore and cryptid stuff and all that. And I feel like it has some pretty good compelling moments for its characters.
So
I mean I always fall back on the acrobatic silky like sequence from season one is
episode 7 is really good. Yeah.
that hits like so hard. And then for people who haven't quite because it hasn't been released yet, you're going to have a similar sequence within these first 3 episodes I've when you see it in like a movie setting, it's hard to gauge where the cutoff is for each episode. So
Mhm.
I'm thinking it's gonna it happens in the second episode is where we get that sequence, because like Crimson was saying, it's what gives you the context for the evil eye, but
Mhm.
it's and
Well, even
it
later in this season, you'll probably get another one of those acro silky sort of things. So
So my thing is, Gigi is kind of like Zenitsu for me. Anytime he's on camera or in a scene, I fucking hate it. And turns out it's the same voice actor, which he does a really good job being really fucking annoying, which is funny because I really like him as Jinwoo. But when he's playing annoying ass characters, I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up.
weird.
So
I must have a
that's,
really high tolerance for annoying people. That
yeah,
would
that's
make
my
sense actually because I
thing.
hang around you.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I got it. I know where you were going with this, Crimson. Uh, and anytime he's on camera, I fucking do. Ugh. But I do like Momo and Okaru's kind of getting a little annoying for me. But I like Turbo Granny.
Rita
Turbo
Repulsa.
Turbo Granny's funny.
Turbo Granny is hilarious.
Uh, but
But it's the show is just it's so good. I mean, I get like Crimson said, it is so batshit crazy. I can understand why maybe some people just don't want it. It's got with all the alien stuff, with all the folklore, yokai, different demons of the Japanese myth. Then we've got cryptids now coming in. It's covering it's basically like if you like all those cheesy like 80s 90s indie magazine like National Enquirer stories of different monsters are getting checked off. So I
I
get but what I don't agree with is people who are just not giving it a chance, saying, "Oh, because like we've just said, like because of Momo and because of this or that, this show is just on." No, this show is amazing. It's
mhm.
animation. It's what anime it's should be, which is pushing boundaries of like mix mash storytelling, good writing, quality animation, and like to this day, I'll tell you, there's people who still argue about what Akira was about, and it's considered the most classic like
mhm.
anime movie ever made. And you still get differing opinions on exactly what the hell it was about. you know, some of like Nausicaa, Valley of the Wind. There's obviously it's an anti-war message, but you start getting different. It doesn't have to be something that's easily digestible to be great. This one, I think, is to me it seems fairly easily digestible. Like Crimson was saying, the anime is cleaning up maybe some of the ambiguity that you would get from just manga panels,
Mhm.
where they're adding the backstory hits hard, but it's very easy to follow and see how you got from point A to point B once we get there for this arc in these first three episodes.
See, that's the thing is like I really like the way that all of this is portrayed in really weird ways. I find it like creative and fun. It's very entertaining. There's a lot of levity to this whole thing that even though there are tense situations and there are stakes to it, and like you can genuinely be like, oh shit, what's going to happen now? The whole thing is still overall very, very fun to watch. Like it doesn't feel like it's super stressful or tense or anything. Um, Even in some of these like higher moments in a good way. Like the whole thing is just entertaining to watch. I like that they're doing all the crazy stuff with the cryptids and sort of making light of it. I think it's a new, unique way to handle a lot of these sorts of folklores to do it in a more comedic light.
I think it's funny sometimes, but sometimes I think it's fucking annoying. I do think it's a very good anime. I just don't like it. If that makes
No,
sense.
I respect it. There are like for me, like that for me is basically call of the night. Like I respect the choice of like people who love this show, but I don't think I'm as into it as everyone else is.
All right, let's go to the next one. New Saga. Since this is one we all talked about, all seen. So
Mm,
Kyle here is the main character. Basically, everyone dies, and then he's reincarnated because he gets like some dragon heart or something.
Yep.
And he touches this girl's butt, and she's like, "How dare you!" And then like leaves, and then he eats all the food, and that's all I remember.
That's well, there was a little more to it than that. I mean, you definitely remember more because the dragon heart stuff was in the last third of the episode.
Hmm.
The beginning of the episode is the him and his boy over there. All right, there's three people who are left. We get the narrated backstory that the demon half of the continent invaded humanity after about a 500-year peacetime stalemate. They surprise attacked, wiped out humanity, and we're just rolling. And so after 2 years of this, in a last ditch effort to take out the demon lord, through a decapitation special forces strike, if you will, the hero party, which is made up of our lead and his childhood friend and a wizard girl, are the what's left. There was a couple other people; they get wiped out early, and his friend stays to take on what looks like two generals of the demon lord on his own, so that the wizard girl and him can move to the final boss. The final boss seems like he has black hole magic that just, you know, completely, or I guess
Everyone.
I would say it's actually very similar to Rhea Scrimmery from DXD, which is the total annihilation like little magic balls that just destruct everything and wipe it out on a molecular level. Wizard Girl gets, snuffed out, taking the hit to save him. He also has a magic sword that talks to him. And the magic sword grants him all of its power to do a final hit on the demon lord. Demon lord is dead, but it also got him. So as he's dying, he reaches out, gets the stone, and he travels back in time 5 years. So he's now 3 years from when the initial invasion happens, and 2 years away from after that where he actually was dying.
So was it the sword talking to him or the magic stone?
The magic stone in the sword.
Okay.
Not the stone, not the red stone, the blue stone in the sword.
That gets destroyed. Right. Okay.
Yep.
So based on this first episode, if it doesn't get better, I'm just going to kind of just watch it as it goes. And just
So, are either of you familiar with a Returner's Magic Should Be Special?
no.
I feel like I might have watched that a couple of years back.
You're lucky if it doesn't hang around in your memory because it was awful, but the premise is effectively the same as this. When I watched this, I was like, "Oh, I'm more invested in this than I was in a Returner's Magic Should Be Special." But perhaps it'll, go somewhere. I kind of like this one. I don't think it's amazing, but I will probably end up watching it unless it goes severely downhill. In the next couple of episodes, I'll probably end up watching it all the way to the end. I'm interested in seeing this guy who basically lost everything in his first time around, and take life seriously and try and save the people around him. I'm glad that it's not right on the verge of total annihilation. He has a couple of years to build himself up in anticipation of all the attacks and stuff. But if I were in his shoes, I probably would have he's sitting there talking about all the magic stuff with his mom. Is his mother's it almost feels like you've come from the future. If I were in his shoes, I would be like, yeah, well, here's what's gonna fucking happen in the next couple of years.
Right?
Also, remember that magic stone you said had been lost? I have it right here. The demons actually have it, and they're charging up a spell with it right now.
Also,
we need to start fucking doing something.
It's also time out, Mom. Why do you look 1 year older than me?
Dude, his mom looks like she's in middle school. I was like, that's the mom.
I know. I was about to say, is this his little sister or something? Hey, Mom.
Fuck. It's do we have
mom.
do we have elf blood in our lineage? Is that what's going on?
No, just your stereotypical, almost required magic lolly. Okay?
It's hey, Mom, did your 2-hit combos take out people and you've now moved on?
So we won't be talking about this one every week. I'm going to wait to.
I don't know. I think it could I mean, there's some nice threads there. When he, wakes up in the past and he sees his childhood friend / love interest alive again. He breaks down crying and he has a very natural reaction for someone seeing the person who was slaughtered in front of him. And then they turn it into a little bit of an etchy moment to high, and I because it's highlighting that they are both in a phase where they want each other but won't admit it.
The thing is, like, she basically just says, like I'm down for it. Just give me a moment to prepare.
Yeah, it's like don't.
Like, set the pillow to yes before you start doing this, okay?
Yeah, but we probably won't be talking about this every week. I'm going to wait for the dub. If it's not out in 2 weeks, I'll just watch whatever's there and catch up. But next one, we all watched Vending Machine. Now, this is the dumbest fucking show ever,
It's
but
not
it
dumb.
is.
It's not dumb.
It's,
It actually
It is
it's really
utterly
dumb.
retarded.
it's
It
got a
is
very
But it's-
well-rounded
I
magic system.
I hate this show, but I can't like say that it's
Stop,
a
right?
terrible show.
Right?
It's there's so I have so many complicated feelings about
It
this.
might have the best Daisy Duke shorts in anime.
Sure, Lamas is hot, okay? Fair enough. The thing is, like, this gets a better production, like more love in production than a lot of other series that I would argue deserve it more. That's
It
the
reminds
crazy
me of
part
how
about
much
this.
I was reincarnated as a sword had a quality like the studio committed more resources to doing that well for an entire season than a
Mhm.
lot of other shows you would think that they would, like for instance Temu Tensei. And, if the commitment that they got for the for vending machine was translated into the level of quality commitment they put into Temu Tensei, that show probably would have been really solid. Having seen the whole season of that show now, I don't see any generic, grating flaws in the storytelling. It was just the animation was so bad. Like that could have been a perfectly serviceable, decent and I'd say I'd like to see where this is going because I know a lot of people say that it's as good as Mushoku Tensei and ReZero. They say it. I don't agree,
I
but
mean, it
maybe
is.
down the road it would get there. But that one didn't have animation. So far,
Oh, that
Vending
does just.
Machine has been for a season and an episode really well animated.
Here's the
It's
thing:
so
is like
funny.
it's competently written. I'll give it that. Like its story generally follows a pretty logical and well done structure. It's just the big thing for me is everyone is in love with this fucking vending
I
machine.
know.
And I'm sitting here like, it's a fucking vending machine. Why do you want to stick your fucking member in a vending machine? Stop.
I know. It's so funny. I
Like,
can't help it.
like they're sitting like, and he even like says that he passes up the telepathy skill because he feels like it, like people would stop thinking of him as useless, like as useful. I'm like, what do you mean? If you could talk to them, that would make you more useful to them because you
I
could
know.
communicate direct. That was such a retarded way of
Hello
like,
there. Like,
yeah, of keeping like the shtick going. And
uh,
that annoyed me. But it still follows a generally good pattern, an interesting world build. The animation is okay, I guess. It's not the most amazing, but it's better than a lot of other series get. Um, and we're at the point where the main villain is instigating a culling games inside of the dungeon. So we'll see where this goes.
well, I like how the big bad from the first season got dropped on by an 18-meter vending machine. He's like, haha, I turned into this giant vending machine. And then he's just like, I'm going to drown you and electrocute you. You're fucked. Like, the vending machine fucked him up, which is hilarious to me. So this is one of Sporking's like favorite isekais. And
Why am I not surprised?
that's the whole reason why I got it. And I
This
even
is
bought a Boxo just to troll him.
so
So,
just to
yeah,
understand, this is the exact kind of anime where someone who has to take like weeks off at a time will be able to jump in and jump out of and be very comfortable because nothing you're not falling behind. You're not feeling like this is perfect for somebody like Sporking because
This is the epitome of sloppy Sakai, if you ask me.
all
yeah, but
right.
it's served warm out of the vending machine.
All right. Now, now we're just going to talk about the greatest pair of jeans in anime.
Mm.
Hell yeah.
Okay,
Really
so
wrong.
I want to start this one off. Apparently, this anime has started filtering people out of it because of those genes. You know, all the people who are like, stop sexualizing the characters. Yeah, they're upset because our main girl Nagi here has some amazing assets.
Because we are talking about like the thickest girl of the anime season nine.
She got some incredible deposits. Okay,
Yeah.
And she's
um,
dressed very like appropriately for a
yes,
geologist,
they just happen to highlight the curves in her rear a little bit.
Well,
Uh,
like work jeans can stretch, man. That's how things work.
um, Either way, this one tickled my tism even before we saw the ass. Because I like stuff like mineralogy, geology, astronomy, stuff like physics, stuff like that. I take a particular interest in that kind of stuff. So I was like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna check this out because maybe we'll get some interesting information. It's fairly like informative on a lot of things. Maybe not to someone who's actually like studied this. Some things are pretty simplified and they're like kind of brush over some like processes and stuff like that, but they're pretty informative, like in like talking about like what certain minerals are and like where they can come from. It's a first episode, but this being Studio Bind, I believe, right?
Yep, fine.
Yeah, so Studio Bind, like their animation game is amazing. The way they like use it to exaggerate everyone's like reactions and expressions, particularly our main character Ruri. Um, it's just a really good experience as an anime. It's funny, it's charming, it's interesting. I have my new Reika Kujirai in the form of Nagi, so I'm going to be down bad for the next couple of weeks thinking about this woman.
I mean, it's a fun anime. It's slice of life about a girl who wants to buy a crystal necklace, can't afford it, and then falls in down the rabbit hole of mineralogy and geology, and is being guided by her new mentor, um, you know, who just happens to be super awesome in jeans. And as someone who's married to a geologist, it's it reminds me. I'm having flashbacks to my wife back when she was in college. Like, so, so I immediately made her. I was like, "Sweetie, you gotta come in here. Look at this anime. It's a geology anime. We're gonna watch it."
So when you guys first told me this, right? I read the little description and it was like this college girl, right? And then we get introduced to Rui, the little girl. I think she's a little girl. I don't think she's an adult,
I think like late middle school, early high school, something like that.
Yeah,
right?
you got to remember in Japan their years are a little different. So someone in middle school in Japan could be the equivalent of a high schooler in the U.S.
I'm basically putting her in like the 14 to 15 year age,
Yeah,
like age
I'm
range.
thinking she would be either a freshman or
Yeah,
sophomore
yeah.
equivalent
Because they have
in the
3 years
U.S.
in middle
schools.
school, so it would be like ninth grade. But I was like, it said she was a college student. It's just some girl who looks like it, and then we meet Nagi,
Nagi.
and I was like, oh, this is the college student. I was like, why does she look so young for a college student? So I was confused.
I also appreciated how prepared she was, having the chisels in her back pocket ready to go.
She just
It
pulls
was
that shit out. Yeah.
Yeah. She also has a bell on her butt, which was interesting.
I didn't notice, but I'll pay more attention next time.
You didn't notice?
No, I missed it. I must have
Crimson,
been.
did you notice that, right?
Sorry, I was distracted by a lot of things. I didn't see no bell.
There you
I
go.
didn't hear no bell.
All right.
I didn't see no bell. I didn't hear no bell. Yeah, good comparison. But I also think from the education standpoint, it's a lot like you're having those little breaks like what was it? Dr. Stone, where they have little science breaks in the fun like chibi styling.
at the end of the show, probably.
Yeah, like, well, no, in the middle of it when she's describing how
Oh.
like the crystals form.
It was
All right, here
also
we go.
really interesting to hear the intro to this one. It really reminded me of the original intro to Mushoku Tensei. It's like Tabi Bito no Uta. Oh hey.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
She got a
See,
bell.
it was too high up.
Yeah, I'm staring about like I'm staring at about the point where like the thighs transition into the ass, so I completely ignored.
It's a
I
little
just
too
want to
high
take
up.
a moment to appreciate the world building that we're getting.
All right.
I need her, okay?
You know, that's commitment to quality animation. Look, everything is moving into, in the way it should to be getting my attention.
Hey, look, I changed persons. Why am I? Wait, what the fuck?
I was about to say you got your
I'm now the butt. Oh, there we go. Okay, so so I think this is the last one we've all seen, or just not little Chad.
I know I've seen this one. I watched
Okay,
this one.
so I
I've
think
seen
this
this.
is I think this is the last one all three of us have seen. Um, so um,
Biggles got his new Dami Mommy.
we got a Dami Mommy on the right. We got an assassin who could possibly also be a Dami Mommy based on how she acts.
I should show this show to my friend Roman. He would fucking bark for all these women.
Is that the one who's never touched a girl in his life?
Yes.
I
So
believe it.
hold on, I want Biggles. Which one do you like the best?
Right. This
Of
one.
course, of course. Crimson. Some things are just never in doubt.
I honestly don't think I blame him, but I'm personally more a fan of the girl on the left.
The assassin anemone and
And that makes little Chad the wallet.
no.
Or,
No,
oh, no,
I'm
he's into the guy.
no. I mean, we can have the same best girl. It's
I'm
anemone
not
for me
sure.
as well.
Okay, good.
I think she's been more entertaining. I also like that she conjures a magic Barrett 50 caliber out of thin air.
Oh yeah,
She conjures a lot of weapons throughout this, doesn't she?
she did.
Yep.
What was that one? It was like machine gun grenade launcher or something. It's a like machine gun grenade.
Like, I'm just gonna totally ignore that it is completely out of setting for this woman to have modern firearms. Like, I am more distracted by all the big jigglies that are flying. Okay.
But yeah, so his whole shtick is like he's super shy, and he has like these fantasies of how he's going to like speak to them, and then he's just like, protect you no matter what. Pass out. I hope he doesn't pass out constantly.
I think
he did
from
it
the
8 times in this first episode.
but from the intro sequence, it seems like over time, as his comfort level with them increases, he's going to be able to function longer periods. Because they were showing him having like tea with some of them and doing. I think that's what's going to happen. It's if they do now, he's going to be able to function in general conversation better. They'll still probably be able to shut him down by doing something overtly seductive.
Yeah.
But he won't be as shut down as just them talking to him. So, but it'll be interesting. And I mean, we've had this type of show now consistently the last several years, which is big dumb hero who doesn't realize, what's going on and is so OP that he's just tanking anything against him, and then he gets the harem of certain things against. Now this time it's the unique twist is that his harem is overtly trying to kill him.
Well,
So,
the funny thing
so
is,
this is what you would call like this is the first example I can point to of what me and my brother made a joke about being the anti-harem, which is it's a dude surrounded by women who really just want to fucking kill him.
hey, I know that harem all the time.
It's very similar to the initial Konosuba kind of vibe, where they're all linked up together, But and unfortunately, Konosuba is still mixing, actually moving towards like Megami and them actually being in a romantic relationship. Where initially, he just, I kind of like the vibe better when he was just couldn't stand any of them and thought they were all useless.
Mhm.
So because it was such a fun twist on the harem vibe. You're used to the hero getting the harem of party members and they're all trying to hook up with him, like you see in something like A Rank Party. So Konosuba twisted it. I think this one's going to be interesting and twisted where they're telegraphing, of course, that they're also all going to develop romantic feelings for him because of his just straight up protective nature and hero badassness, where he's like, killing the monster guy who was in the back alley going after Anemone, that he was able to resist the Dami Mommy drug and was actually being assertively male on, and she wasn't ready for that
And she
and
was like,
didn't know what to.
I'm getting hot and bothered.
Biggles was taking notes on what he's supposed to do. It's like, this is how you capture the Dami Mommy's heart.
How to win over the Dami Mommy, dominate her. Um, but the funny thing is,
There's a
only,
term for that. It's called domination loss.
all right, listen, there's only two of them that want to actually kill him. The other one wants to make her his pet. She wants to dominate. So
Yes, but she also wants to be dominated. So
yeah, there you go. Perfect. She'll get a happy ending.
either way, she's okay with it.
Yeah. But yeah, this one's pretty funny. I hope he doesn't pass out all the time later on. Like I said, that could be really annoying and be a turnoff. But I'll keep watching as long as Dami Mommy is here. Okay. All right. Anybody else want to say anything else?
No, this is just a nice kind of like change of pace, humorous one. I don't think I'm not worried about the storytelling falling off because I don't expect much from it. I expect occasionally chuckling at situations in comedic scenes, and that's all I would want from it.
I was about to say it's a garbage series, but I'm watching it because the concept is entertaining, and I'm with Biggles. I really hope that they tone down on him like passing out all the time. It's going to get very annoying if they keep doing that.
Facts. All right. Let's bring her. This one you saw, Little Chad, right? Or no?
Yes, I saw this one.
So you saw this one. Crimson has read the manga, and I have seen it. So Crimson, are you excited for another silver hair elf waifu?
She's not even really an elf though, and
But she has elf ears.
yeah, but she's a fucking
She's a sludge witch.
She's a psycho bitch.
So
She's psychotic.
who doesn't like a good
Otto
psycho
is
bitch?
psychotic. She is crazy.
She is from an evil kingdom.
I don't know, dude. I love bitches who could stab me at any second while I'm sleeping. All right, so this one is pretty good so far. So this says a turn-based strategy game. All right, let's fix this right real quick. It's not a turn-based strategy game. It's a 4X game. They're different. And I saw the map and I was like, this doesn't look like a turn-based game. This looks like a 4X game. And then 2 sentences later, the 4X game, Eternal Nights. So this needs to be changed to 4X strategy, right?
Yeah.
So Age of Empires. That's the Biggles number one type. Yeah.
Here's my thing about this is like it felt like at every turn, like every novel was introducing a completely new like game concept to this series. That was where it started to become a turnoff to me because it's like, oh well, now there's just a bunch of new rules that I gotta remember as to how like all this stuff functions. And
So that's kind of how like 4X games work as you progress through the story.
no, what I'm saying is they literally like one of the I'll a little bit of spoilers. You're gonna come across some like tabletop RPG rules imposed upon the world.
Well, that's basically what a 4X game is.
No, like legitimate D&D. The whole premise of this is basically like the gods are fucking around with everyone and they're putting all these crazy powerful people in this world who are all under like the restriction of like a different type of tabletop game or a different type of game.
So one
So
person like would
one is
be
like a legit what.
Warcraft, one it would be D&D rules, one would
No,
be.
so basically he's under like the Risk sort of thing, or like Command and Conquer sort of thing. The other person is like under like a D&D sort of thing. There's even one that's under like a Dragon Quest sort of uh set of rules. Like they legitimately have like a hero and a demon lord sort of thing show up, and it's not even that far off. I got sick. I got really sick of it. Like it would have been one thing if it was just this dude playing Ainzul Gone using his like 4x4 strategy know-how to take over the world. But in this, it basically becomes like an unnecessary kind of like meh game of the gods where like I don't know, there's a bunch of different random bullshit rules and stuff like that. And at one point he decides he's just gonna fucking make a ton of guns and hand them out to the dark elves.
Well, he gave all the dark elves fruits and pears, and the other guy was like, "How dare you call him your grace?" Like blah blah blah. He's like, "Well, you show respect to people who help you out when they ask for nothing, right?" He's like, "Nah, nah." So I want to see the elder dude just get punched in the face at least. I don't want him to die. I want him to get punched in the face though.
What, the dark elf guy?
Yeah, the dark elf, like the elder.
She was being ridiculous. But I mean it makes sense. What's interesting is that she has, even though she was a computer game character, a
No, not
memory of.
that one. Not that one. This guy.
Yeah, she was the one, she was upset at him. I'm saying for
Atu is
Atua.
upset with him.
Otto.
Yeah. What is it? All right. So Atua was getting upset that the dark elf warrior wasn't being sufficiently supplicant to her king.
Oh, in the very beginning, yeah.
Yeah. I mean that's the only episode that's dropped, right?
Yeah.
They reincarnate, both of them. He shows up in this world, he's sitting on a throne, then she sludges into existence. They have a little talking to where she acknowledges that she remembers every gameplay he ever did with that kingdom, like where she's the hero character of the kingdom,
Hmm.
which is that was weird. Like I'm with Crimson laying out these other things, I'm wondering how that's going to work with with people having other, rule like game systems. Would it be like, because in D&D, for instance, right, you are your character, right? You're running your character,
Hmm.
right? Does that mean in this world they reincarnate as their character and not like this one where he's the controller who has a hero character and can summon like command and conquer style summon units at the expense of whatever your consumable
Resources.
energy resource is? I'm kind of intrigued. Like now, Crimson, you may be able to answer. Like for the ones who are in like a D&D style one, are they coming in as their character? Were they the dungeon master, and therefore have the character sheets for all the players in their group? Like I'm wondering that there's more questions for me based on that.
Insofar as this goes, from what I've read, our main character is the only like real reincarnation. Everyone else basically ends up being like a fabrication based on characters. So like when you come across the D&D stuff, it's like literally like a D&D villain out of a book that is put into this world, but they're like intimately familiar with all the rules. They know how their abilities function. They know that like everything that happens to them is determined by a dice roll, so they abuse that fact.
So they
God.
can have loaded dice on.
They also know that like they can respawn with a new character sheet. So yeah, there's that thing. The Dragon Quest esque like RPG sort of character is literally just like all of the characters from the story of that RPG thrown into this world.
Got it. All
Yeah.
right. Well, this was interesting. I like how when the dark elf saw him, he was just like this black line.
Yeah,
Sorry for
miasma.
the abundance of spoilers, but I'm not really a huge fan of this show, and I'm
That's
kind of
okay.
trying to explain why.
Well, I think it's important because there's before you want to get invested in a show, like, because I'm sure the first few episodes are just going to be him building up his own region and territory. if it's going to have this other twist coming later that completely breaks and is stupid, best to know it going in. Because you know,
I,
it's
I
a
honestly would have preferred it if it was just like a different version of Overlord. But at this point, I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like they got a little too wild with this, and I'm not feeling it.
All right. Well, I'm going to keep watching until it gets done, and then I'll stop. And there's only 12 episodes in this season, so I think that should be easy. Now, the next one, only me and a little Chad have seen. I was telling,
fat bastard, the isekai.
I was telling Crimson like a little bit about this earlier, like how he can't touch women and he can't have sex, or
Well, yeah. So this is when you get an isekai, you do want to have some fresh takes on it, right? So I'm not going to knock him for doing this. So this guy, it was an ugly dude in Japan who was actually aware, self-aware enough to know he was ugly, made a point of actually being an extrovert and trying to use whatever tools he had to get people to smile and be happy around him because he knew he was ugly. Then he was falsely accused of molesting a girl on a train because this is Japan. And that spirals his whole life until and because of that false accusation, he becomes a shut-in, a la Rudius from his original life. Then he sees online people talking about how they can and what's unique is that anybody can do this process and then be sent to this other world.
Mhm.
And so you follow the steps and it opens up on your computer screen like your initial, like, like if you ever remember the old school stuff where you can assign your stats for your
Mhm.
character. And he discovers that if he puts negative things in, it in turn gives him bonus points for his stats. So he starts trying to put in the like most negative things possible. Like if I touch a girl, I will lose 10% of my health points. And all of a sudden, like he gets 100 billion extra, like stat points. And so
Yeah.
he keeps so he makes his ugliness is like instead of his baseline ugliness, he does like he which is
Negative
his
255.
so he takes his baseline attractiveness from 5 to negative 255, and that gives him a huge bonus. And so he keeps stacking all these like negative things in his life, for his life in this world, and he ends up with trillions of bonus points to use for his stats. And when he finally assigns these bonus points, the system basically breaks and says you are assigned the class of Almighty God because your stats are so ridiculous
Mhm.
that you're effectively a god. What's really funny is that eventually he does accidentally touch one of the girls in his party, and he loses 10% of his now godly level hit points. And
It's like 10 trillion or
he's
something.
like I lost like 10 trillion hit points. That's enough to have killed the Earth 3 times over. It's just like, what's
Uh,
funny is like he spawns into a house with 3 other people, so it looks, and they're all from Earth, right? They're all people who knowingly chose to reincarnate into the fantasy world. And then the way this works is at any point they can go back to Earth, but it'll have their life, like they'll have to give up half of their actual lifespan to go back to the original world if they choose to no longer live in the fantasy world. So I think that is a mechanic that is going to come into play. So these 3 other people will also from Earth and we've only gotten a taste of what their backstory is. Like the other dude in the party who's got the sword in the background,
this
he
dude.
makes mention that he had a lot of trouble communicating with people, like that he was a shut-in, and he's doing his best to get over it in his new life. The brunette, who is the magic user in the
Well,
back,
she had archery, which I thought it was weird that she has the archery and she has
I
the.
think they're going to end up choosing new classes. Remember, they were only sharing the weapons that were
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
standard issue.
yeah.
But they hint that she had a lot of social anxiety issues too.
Mhm.
You know, and we haven't gotten anything on the backstory. Like, so I'm interested to see the backstories because it's such a unique setup where people can choose to isekai.
Mhm.
I want to, it's who's the kind of person who's going to choose to like basically nope out on their lives completely. Like it's not going to be people who are happy with their lives.
I mean, depending on what isekai world, I could be like, all right, fuck my life right now. Let's go. That sounds too much fun.
Well, that's the thing. They didn't have any idea about what kind of world they'd be going into exactly.
Yeah.
Just that if you followed these steps, you'd have a screen pop up where you could assign your stats and then you'd be sent to another world. Not well-adjusted people who are happy aren't doing this. So
Yeah, but
it so it'll be fun. And I don't know if they're going to run into other players. Like, are they now a party where they get to just go through this entire world and they're the only humans in this segment? Are they going to run into other players? I'm actually pretty intrigued to see how it goes.
well, I assume they'll run into other players because there were forums on the internet about like it. But Seke, the girl in the back, she's my favorite character so far. I mean, like when she has the bow out and she's like, "Thank you for stringing my bow," and then she goes and just shoots all the arrows, and you just see her missing every shot, and there's like hundreds and hundreds of arrows going. And he's like, "All right, let me get her more arrows," and he just like makes arrows and like puts them down. She's like, "Oh, I got him!" And just starts shooting him again, and then she's like, "You string my bow, so I got you this hamburger," and then he accidentally touches her, fucking starts shaking because he's taking 10% of his life damage, throws the hamburger behind him, and then she gets really sad because she's like, I got that for you as a thank you, and you just threw it. And he uses his skills from before, like his like helping, always trying to make people smile.
Yeah, his salesman skills.
And he was just like, "You were just so pretty that I couldn't help myself. I'm going to eat it anyways," like off the ground, right? And she's like, "I'm sorry for being so pretty," and like because he doesn't really understand what like he's doing. Like, it's great. I like her a lot. She's a great character. Um, all right, next one. Call of the Night. So you haven't seen this one, little Chad, but
No, I haven't seen. I saw the first season, not the new one yet.
so basically this episode is just the girls are getting drunk and they're trying to get gossip out of them, and then they go to Tokyo. That's basically the episode in a nutshell.
Hmm. Yeah, this all comes on the heels of like the whole vampire hunter thing, which was probably about the like most interesting part of this. Is like you're basically fed this whole thing about like the vampires, and then it's kind of turned on its head when the detective shows up. Other than that, like I don't know, I don't care for Koyamori, honestly.
Well,
I just don't.
they're like, "You're supposed to tell her she's cute," and he doesn't even do that after like all the girls were like, "Do it."
It's honestly
He's so-
like he's gonna gaslight himself into falling in love so that he can become a vampire and never be able to see the light of day again. This whole thing to me is just like, huh?
Yeah. It's kind of dumb, but it's kind of fun. It's solid.
Like the visuals are good. I'll give it that. The music's great. I like a lot of the creepy nut stuff, which is especially like the ending for season one. I actually like the ending more than the opening in season one.
Okay.
The story's not terrible. I don't think it's like a bad anime in any way, shape, or form. It's just I don't care for Ko Yamori. It's like the main character in and of himself.
Sucks.
I don't know. Like I think he's the worst part of the show.
He really is. He's the worst part of the show.
I don't know. I don't know how to have friends. I don't know what being in love is like. Therefore, I'm gonna try and fall in love with this vampire because
So I could be a vampire because I like staying up at nighttime.
life sucks and I feel like I'm alone and I gotta stay up at night because I'm dissatisfied. I don't know. It's not like I find this to be an amazing series because I don't know. Maybe I just need to be more dissatisfied with with my life, I guess. I don't know.
Crimson, I'll let you read this one.
Yes, I see it. I feel the same about Subaru.
Swix can't
To
get
each their
over.
own.
Swix can't see the growth of Subaru. But there's that one. Is it this one or this one who gets super drunk? One of the vampire girls gets super drunk and starts saying like they're like, well, you just like the sexually frustrated virgins, and he's like, I'm sexually frustrated. Like what? And they're like, yes, like you're fucking retarded. All right. Scooped up by an S rank adventurer. Crimson, you haven't seen this one, but little Chad has, right?
I have not
We've
seen this one
we've
yet.
we've all seen this one. That's the thing.
It's
So-
about exactly what I expect it to be, huh?
Correct. So basically, this guy
Would you,
is
Crimson? What if I told you that he was secretly making it so his former party was so OP they didn't even realize how valuable he was?
so this one's a little cooler. This one's a little cooler in the beginning where like his master, the hot blonde, what's her name? Hot blonde.
Look, all I
Merlin.
care about is he going to be banging all these chicks.
He probably will bang all these chicks.
Well, and one of the chicks from his original party is also suspecting that he was responsible for the. She's the tank, with the big, the darkness of the party, and she was like, "Have you noticed lately that the hits we're taking aren't hitting as hard as they should be doing?" Like, because once he joined the party, obviously he's supporting, like he's sending all the good, magic her way and making it so that the hits are reduced. Yeah, Rena. So I think Rena is also going to be joining up on his party eventually. If it follows the same pattern, there's usually one girl who was in the original party who's worth bringing forward and gets moved to the new party that he joins. Whether he's an A rank healer or S rank healer, or whether he's an A rank party who got kicked out and he's a red mage. This time Lloyd's a white mage.
Yeah.
I would address those comments, but I don't think they're really deserving of any sort of engagement other than mockery.
Well, no, I agree at this part, but he grows.
No, Amelia supremacy. Why do you people always sleep
I'm
on
a Rem
this?
Well,
supremacist.
here's the thing: it's more so an issue of loyalty.
Yeah,
Like
that's it.
Subaru is devoted to someone, and insofar as that goes, like there's even cutscenes from like the novels and stuff that address this whole topic. Like Rem never really intended to be his number one.
Rem's cool with it. She's like the maid. She's for cleanup. No, I'm kidding. I do like to point out to people that Amelia has a really strong character growth over the course of ReZero. She actually, so does Subaru.
A lot of people who like Rem also don't realize that whole situation was actually spawns like a whole like awful, or not awful, like there's some negative parts.
Death.
No, there's some negative parts to that whole relationship where Subaru attaches his whole identity to being Rem's hero and then has to work through all of that when she like that whole thing has been basically erased from the world.
Are you talking about the if route?
No, I'm just talking about in general.
Yeah, when he's the only one who remembers Rem and people,
nobody remembers anything that they had gone through. Nobody like him curing her inferiority complex doesn't even matter anymore, especially like in later parts of the series where absolutely no one remembers it. I'll just leave it at that. It's kind of like a harsh awakening to him. It's I don't know, he's a D-bag for rejecting Rem. I don't know. I call cap on that. Just because the girl confesses first doesn't mean that you are supposed to fall in love with that person.
Hold on. What the fuck did you just say?
As in cap, as in no cap or cap? Cap is lying.
Oh.
No cap means not lying.
Speak English, damn it!
That is English. It's
sorry. I started speaking retard there.
And not my dialect of retard either.
It's fine.
Yeah, Marcel. There's a whole chapter in the manga where she basically goes through this whole thing of like, I don't care if I'm not your number one, as long as I'm your number two, that's fine. Guess what? I've read the fucking series.
All right, so back to this. So Lloyd gets trained by the teacher, and she's basically like, don't make the same mistake I did and get overconfident, right? So she just like belittles him all the time, and I thought that was kind of cool.
It gives a lot of in this whole the relationship between her as the teacher and him as the student
Mhm.
reminds me a lot about using healing magic the wrong way.
Rose and
Yeah,
what's his
because
fucking name?
in this case,
Isa. Isa.
yeah, yeah,
What
in
was
this
his name?
case, oh, the wrong way to use healing magic.
Yeah,
What was his name? I don't know. I don't remember.
I
Green
only
healing magic by.
I remember Kawakami because that's the student council, and Kageyama I think is the friend. I feel like it's a name I should know really easily. Atsu, Atsup, Usato. Ken. His first name's Ken. Ken Atsu. Atsu. That's why. All right, but
But it's similar because she was traumatized. Like she was overconfident in her magic. She ends
mhm,
up losing her whole party, and she's the only survivor. And so now when she takes on the apprentice Lloyd, she's drilling it. She wants him to never have an overconfidence in his magic. And I think what she doesn't realize is that she's effectively creating an inferiority mindset with him, that where he always thinks his magic is not good because she constantly one ups him or drills into him that the magic isn't enough. There's more you can do. You've got to do more, do more, do more.
mhm.
And so that's going to be, this is, at least they gave a plausible reason now for why he thinks he's not actually OP once he gets into the regular world.
Uh-huh.
So
So okay, pink haired girl. I was really confused because she kept saying, "Is there any free white mages? Free white mages?"
as in not partied up.
Yeah, and I would have liked available, and I was like, "Free? No, you have to pay these adventures. What are you talking about? You can't just get a free one." And I didn't understand that she meant free until like afterwards, where she was like, "Are you a free one?" And he was like, "I am not in a party." Like, and I was like, "Oh, that's what she means." I was like, "What the fuck?"
That is probably the AI translating,
It's okay.
because I think Crunchyroll has gotten spotted using ChatGPT translation of late.
Yeah, well, they said the vendor did it. It wasn't us. And then like one of the Crunchyroll translators who sucks at their job was like, "How could they do this?" Like, shut up, you suck. I'd rather have AI than your fucking shit. Um, and then uh, there was another thing. So in the dungeon, when he gets kicked out, he starts calling the shots. And Alan, I think is his name, right? Isn't Alan the same name as? No, that was Simon, I think. Alan is this guy's name. Look, he's not even important enough that he's not even on the first page. So I think the hero's name is Alan. And he got fucking jealous because he was like taking the shots. And Lloyd even pushes him out of the way so he doesn't fucking get his head cut off. Or actually, he would have been sliced in half based on where it was going. So he like saves his life, and then he comes in and kills the guy. And he's like, "Get out of my way!" Blah blah blah, and starts yelling. And then they have a meeting, and he kicks him out. And then the other girl, the tank, was kind of like, "Did you notice like all this other shit going on?" And so there's that and that. And that's all I have to say about this. I don't know what he's talking about. Oh
Yeah,
wait.
I don't either. I genuinely don't know what he's talking about.
Okay. Yes, there's always Jeremy's in the chat here. Let's see. Detectives these days are crazy. Me and Crimson saw this one. This chick right here can like pull anything out of her titties, kind of like that ninja girl that died instantly after pulling a giant weapon out of her, or a giant sword out of her titties. Um, and basically, this guy's like, I think this is a mistranslation. I don't think it's detectives. I think it might be Private Eyes because this guy's not really a detective. He's more of like a private investigator.
I mean, I think it's in the vein of Sherlock Holmes being a detective, but he was not officially on the police.
Well, I guess maybe. Um, and then um, this dude is
Yeah.
me. This dude is me. He gets up, walks, oh my back, and just fucking collapses to the ground. He does that multiple times. This guy's
So
me.
you're calling yourself a washed up old man. That's what you're calling
Yes,
yourself.
yes, I am about 80
So
years old.
you need a high school girl with infinite boob storage to come and help you.
Yes, please send send my way.
To be fair, that chick kicks ass. Like she goes in and takes down an entire fucking Yakuza group.
Yeah, dude. They're like, what is that? A flamethrower? She pulls a flamethrower out of her titties and just starts
This one
burning.
is like genuinely, utterly ridiculous. But I kind
Some
of
would
like
say
it for
crazy.
that.
So
She's just like bringing more and more people into the detective agency. Like, hey, we
they're
got a new
fat.
helper. Hey, we have
Yeah.
a mascot.
Well,
Hey, I'm your assistant.
I like how there's the part where he's like taking pictures of the girl cheating, and she's like, "You can't do that," and she's like doing selfies, and then he's like, "Can I get a poppy or something like that for like a coffee?" She's like, "No, you can't. Here, let me order." And she's like, "Blah blah 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 blah," like 50 different things, and they're like, "Okay, here's your coffee." What the fuck? But yeah, it's really ridiculous and really funny. I like how the lady was like, "What about my problem with the beehive?" She missed like the beehive that took out the yakuza. Like, I don't know. And then it does like these weird, creepy faces every now and then, where she has like,
Yeah,
she's like,
that's a little weird.
like she gets this dude's face, and she's like, "I can tell you anything about anybody." Yeah, like. So this is pretty funny. I recommend checking it out at least.
It's a decent comedy, yeah.
All right, let's go. The trash anime. This was just Crimson 2, right?
I've watched this one.
All right, listen.
Nope, on my count.
Listen, if you're a ride or die, you don't give up on them when someone's like, "You did this, I know you did it." And you're like,
Yeah, this whole thing where like it kind of makes this chick out to be like really fake because she goes through this whole thing like, I know you're a nice person, you wouldn't do this, you're like, I believe in you, and then the first like bit of adversity completely shakes her faith in him. Like he's not like, it doesn't even look like he went through a trial. They literally just found him and dragged him off to the execution.
yeah, that's what they did.
So it's like, holy shit, like your faith in this dude was so fucking shallow. You're not even like you are not a good friend whatsoever.
He was like, they basically said, I killed my dad, right? Like not his real dad who was a murderer, but like his dad that raised him.
His basically his adopted father, yeah.
Yeah. So he's a trash raider, so he goes and raids trash and makes trash. But like there's this whole thing in the beginning that it talks about like the life forms that go into trash and shit. I don't know. I think this is a same day dub, right?
I watched the dub of it. I haven't seen the sub, so I don't know exactly what was written there. But I figure it was probably going to be like a bit of like an explanation as to like where the power system is going to come in and how things are going to start functioning. You don't quite get to meet any of the givers yet, but you will next episode, basically.
So I'm going to keep watching this because it's same day dub. I got really annoyed by the first episode, but
I really like it. It is a bit of a betrayal because like you know you have that sort of like shield hero thing where like the chick basically turns her back on him and like he gets framed for something he didn't do. But this is the premise of the series and how like this whole thing is getting set up. I think there are some, you'll come to see there are some interesting implications just in this first episode pretty quickly. But having read a bit of this manga, I'm looking forward to more of this. I think it's pretty creative idea. I like the power system and just like generally like the story arc of you have someone accused of a crime thrown out of their home, and now they're on a mission to sort of like get back at all the people who did them dirty.
So like I said, because it's the same day dub, I'm going to keep watching. So if it gets better, I'm going to be happy,
Mm-hmm.
and then it won't be a same or watching because it's the same day dub. It would be I'm watching it because I like it. And then neither of you have watched this. So this guy Dennis gets kicked out of his party. So it's another one of those, but it's entirely different, right? So this guy gets kicked out of his party. This girl right here, Katie, is like, "Don't leave. Can you at least still cook me dinner before you leave?" Like, it's like, don't listen to the leader of our party. Is it this guy? Yeah, this guy is like, was like, just because you're a level 99 too, you're just a cook, blah, blah, blah. If you didn't use this ability that I told you to use, we never would have had this party. So he got kicked out. It's like, you know what? I'm going to go like start cooking. Like, fuck it. I want to be a cook. And then this little girl is like being sold into slavery. And he walks up and there's this guy. He's like, I can't just think he's a pervert just by his looks, right? And then everybody in the crowd's like, "Oh no, it's going to be over for this girl because this guy's definitely a pervert." And he spends like $5 million to buy this little girl. I was like, "No, you're free now. Like you don't have to like do anything, but stay close so you don't get lost, right?"
Is her name really Atelier?
Well, that's the name she chose. And it's Altalier is how it's said on the show.
It's literally pronounced like that's spelled Atelier.
I mean,
we just had an entire season of a stupid show about it.
My name is Log Cabin.
I know, but when you hear them say
But
it,
it's pronounced Log Cabine.
Yeah, exactly. It's pronounced differently when they say her name.
It's so fucking retarded.
This is going to be like the villainous thing with Gil all over again. Is it Gil? Is it Jill? Is it Jill? Is it
I
Gil?
know it would change during this, like the show, Jill or Gil.
On the plus side for Biggles, Dennis is there, and wasn't that the name of the American ball player from Catch Me at the Ballpark?
Yeah, Dennis Young. Yeah.
Do you have like a head canon where he got isekai'd and this is the same guy?
Dude, he almost looks like him too. All right, so Dennis like starts to open this restaurant, and like he gets her some like nice clothes, and she's like, "Well, you're free. You can like go wherever you want." And she's like, "I'm going to stay here. I want to help cook." After like eating his food, because he was like, he's level 99, so his cooking is maxed, right? Because he's a cook, but he also has like some really strong like powers. So that's why he was in like this adventuring group. But I think this whole restaurant's just going to be like a cooking show. So I'm excited for it. And I'm glad that even though he got kicked out of his party, it's just going to be like I got kicked out of this party. Now I'm going to go follow my dreams and cook food. And I'm guessing she makes friends because these all look like small children. And Dennis is probably going to be like a dad for all of them based on what it looks like. But who knows? That could be magical girls, and that's why they're super young looking. Who knows? But yeah, I think hope they focus more on food in the future. I think they will. But yeah, that's all I got. Oh, remember how I've been saying Black Clover is going to come back probably next year, by the end of next year? We got a Black Clover announcement.
We did.
Let me see if I can find it because I bookmarked it. Yep. And it says season 2. So like
Yeah, that's weird to call it a season 2.
So they say it's season 2. So there it is, Black Clover. Second season coming to Crunchyroll. It's not really a second season, but because they have all 183 episodes is marked as season 1, I guess it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Look
The
at
other like
look at Justin Briner. Wow, what luck? Who voices luck?
So another one that I will mention here briefly that I'm going to watch. A lot of people have been talking about like this romance anime that's come up this season, The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity. The big talking point around this one is Netflix has decided to delay the
Garden
American
flower. Yeah,
the
whatever.
American version of this by 2 months.
So they can do a binge drop.
No, so the English dub comes out at the same time. But it's airing right now. I can go and watch the first episode. But Netflix is not airing it for another 2 months.
Damn Netflix.
This is why Netflix has been a lot of these distributors have actually been terrible with the properties they manage. Netflix has notably, like last season, they didn't even push any advertising for Moonrise, however you feel about that. And now they're doing something like this. They've also, consistently failed to do any good thing. Crunchyroll, out of spite towards Dandadan, did no marketing for it. Disney Plus has hidden anime behind their apps and stuff before. Like you couldn't even watch Heavenly Delusion unless you used a VPN and Disney Plus.
Well, so Disney Plus, if you use the VPN for Canada, it gives you basically all of Hulu.
Mm-hmm. So like a lot of these distributors actually just kind of suck. And that's why I do not judge people for, going to the sail in the 7 seas, yo-ho, fiddle-dee-dee, being a pirate is all right to be, that whole shtick.
The funny thing is, being Jack Sparrow is directly correlated to the ease and availability of seeing something. Like, there's been so many studies when you go to business stuff where if you just make something available at a reasonable price on a legitimate platform, people aren't interested in doing piracy because it takes so many additional steps compared to just paying $5, $6 a month for whatever service. But then you have Netflix doing stupid stuff like this,
Well,
where you're going to
at this
delay
point,
something by like 2 months. That's You've now flipped the equation where people who are interested in seeing this will now take those extra steps. Now, here's the thing: once you equip someone to be Jack Sparrow, and they're comfortable, putting up the riggings, dropping the sail, and getting on those seas, that's when people start to realize maybe I'm pretty able to do this without too much trouble, and you start getting into bigger problems.
well, yeah, and here's the thing is it's not just $5 a month anymore. You're paying like $50 a month for all the subscriptions to get all these different shows because they're all on different platforms.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta sign up for Disney Plus. I gotta sign up for Amazon. I gotta sign up for Crunchyroll, High Dive, Netflix. If I want all these shows, I gotta pay all those subscription fees. Of course, I don't know how many people are actually as into it as me and watch a lot of this stuff, but that's kind of how it goes down. Is like you're basically paying for like a small cable bundle or something anyway.
Trust me, I know how it is with fucking baseball. But have you guys heard of that zombie cat anime?
I'm gonna watch it. Yeah, Night of the Living Cat.
Did you hear of it, little Chad?
I heard of it. I haven't
All right.
seen it.
Well, we're going to have to talk about it next week. Now,
Is that going to be like a whole like that? That's like the main focus of the show is talking Night of the Living Cats.
no, but like this just looks fucking hilarious.
It looks so dumb. I have to check it out. It's like I can't not.
Look at that. Like, how could we not? Like, Someone said this is amazing. So
6.65. Oof.
but it's only 682 people. So, but someone told me this is a fucking amazing anime. So I'm going to. I'm going to at least check out the first episode. I don't like cats, and I'm not really a big fan of zombie movies or zombie shows other than like High School of the Dead. So we'll.
Well, I'm in the same boat, but like this, like it's too ridiculous to not check this out. If you ask me.
Swigs, my team still has one of the best records in baseball, even after losing like 15 games in a row.
I mean, you had a series against the Yankees. You were going to get some wins.
I mean, going into the series, the Yankees had finally started losing, and the Mets finally started winning. So
even Juan Soto was able to hit some.
I know, right?
Because he hasn't this season's been pretty disappointing for him.
Oh, did you guys hear about this rooster fighting?
Rooster, I've known about this for months, dude. Rooster fighter.
Man, it looks funny too, but
yeah, it looks like reincarnated as a vending machine levels of dumb.
No, it reminds me more of fucking not reincarnated as a vending machine. It kind of reminds me of Beihei Neko, but minus the elf wanting to fuck you kind of thing. Where it's like the cat.
Huh. I don't want to think about that. I really don't want to think about that.
All right.
It's been 2 seasons and we're still talking about Beihei Neko. Can we not? Please.
But it's your favorite anime.
I will fucking punch you in the scrotum.
All right. What is this?
I'm sure I'll use it as a fucking speed bag.
All right. Well, I want to get out of here and rest my shoulder again.
All right. I have dragged this out enough.
Anybody else want to say anything?
Nagi gene supremacy.
Nagi gene supremacy. All right.
That should be.
I'm going to bed with nothing but her in my mind.
How could you not? I mean, there's even like I said, there's even a bell on it, and now you guys know that there was one.
Yeah,
it's like
let's go.
It's like, oh, it was up there the whole time. I guess I missed it. That's probably a test to see if people notice. You know, how like did you know? It's one of those experiments. Yeah, where the psychology student comes in after you've been looking at the picture for 5 minutes. All right, how many people saw a bell? And you raise your hand, and it's like, there was a bell.
It's like the scene in Mallrats where the dude's like looking at the painting, and they're like, they say you could see a sailboat. I still haven't seen it, and I've been standing here for a day. And then everybody walks by and was like, oh, look, it's a sailboat. He's like, ah! I can't see it. Like, that's me with the bell right now. All right. So that's everything for us. Thanks, guys. Thanks, chat. Enjoy these 2 clips, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Come down.
Like hell we're gonna believe that. A goblin lord? My ass. You're just a damn goblin. Just a disgusting little goblin. And me?